This is Comet Picks by the Glick.
Hey, and I'm your host, Jason Glick.
How are you doing, Jason Glick?
I'm doing great, John. You glad to be back on the West Coast?
Oh, I'm absolutely fine with being here. You bet. How are things going on your side of the earth?
Oh, things have been going good. It's business as usual, as I was telling you earlier. And also, it's like I went to WonderCon in Anaheim 2 weeks ago.
WonderCon, huh?
Yeah, it's a great little con run by the people who do the Comic-Con in San Diego, and it's like Comic-Con, only without the gigantic levels of people and levels of bullshit as well. I mean, this is a little con where you can actually go to a panel and actually show up to a panel and not have to wait in line for an hour in order to get in.
There you go. Cool. That's what you want at a con anyway, not to sit in a line for the most part.
Yeah, exactly. And as for me, though, it's like I like going there because they also have the nice selection of half-off bins that Comic-Con has as well. So I got like a lot of good stuff there. Like during when I went there on one Saturday.
Okay, cool. And that's what you're going to talk to us about tonight?
Yes, one of these things that I actually found in the half-off bins was something by one of comics seminal creators, Will Eisner. Now, it's like, he's important because the comics top industry award, the Eisners, they are named for him. Aside from creating the spirit, Will Eisner is one of the foremost innovators and popularizers of the graphic novel format, and it's safe to say that comics would not be what they are today without his input and influence. And chief among his achievements is coining the phrase graphic novel and publishing, and not really, but I'm getting one of the first real examples of the form published from a major publisher. That would be The Contract with God, and that's what I picked up. It's called The Contract with God Trilogy, and it's published. It takes that original graphic novel he did, plus two other sequels he did, with it, and pulls them all in one nice omnibus format. And now the thing is, though, is it's arguable whether what was the first real graphic novel. Was it Eisner's Contract with God? Was it Gil Kane's Black Mark? Was it some other stuff that was published in the 30s, back when all we had was pulp anthologies and weekly comic serials? I subscribe to the belief that Contract with God was the first real graphic novel in the sense that Columbus discovered America, that kind of thing, because the Contract with God is one that keeps getting cited as that example, and it's also one of the few that's still in print to this day. So that's a remarkable achievement in and of itself. Now, but how does it read? Surprisingly well, considering how long it's been. I mean, I've talked about before on this podcast how Eisner's spirit work from the 30s still holds up pretty well. I mean, it's not, I won't say it's examples of great storytelling, but it's still eminently readable in ways that you wouldn't expect a story from the 30s to be almost 70 years later. But these stories, with the original set of stories published in the 60s, still holds up pretty well. I mean, so let's talk about the stories themselves. I mean, first volume is basically a series of four. It's an anthology of 4 stories. First story, The Contract with God, focuses on one character, Frimi Hirsch, a Jewish rabbi, whose daughter died tragically, and he's raging against God because he believes that he had a contract with God years ago, after everyone told him that you Frimi Hirsch are chosen by God for being such a good kid. And so he views his daughter's death as a violation of that contract, and so he renounces it, and then shaves off his beard, stops being a rabbi, goes into the real estate business, and just turns his back on his religious upbringing. Then he realizes that doesn't give him happiness, so he then talks to the rabbis of his synagogue and asks them to forge him a new contract with God. Now, it's pretty. It's pretty simple and straightforward as far as this message goes, in terms of just showing you how you can't quantify, like a relationship with God. It's like it's something it's between you, that exists, like, in your heart or in your head, and like trying to quantify it in a physical, actual sense will only lead you to ruin. Now, storytelling here is actually pretty simple for the most part, because there's not a whole lot. Because while we're accustomed to sequential storytelling as being several panels on a page, a lot of the stuff in this first story is basically like pictures with words like put about them on the page. It's almost kind of like, I would say it's almost like a children's storybook, but the material here is dealt with an intelligence and maturity that transcends that like blithe characterization that I just did. Anyway, but the thing is, like, even in this format, Eisner has the advantage. It really works because Eisner, this sort of really quantifies Eisner's skill in terms of like depicting characters and their emotions. It's like, looking at this, I mean, you realize that the man was really, it's like, on another level in terms of like depicting characters in their inner states just by looking at them. I mean, like Fermi's expressions as he goes on. I mean, it's like, pictures worth 1,000 words, and you look at this, and it's like you can tell exactly what he's thinking, and you can really get into his head just by looking at him and seeing what he thinks. I mean, especially when he's talking to the rabbis and saying, "I want you to I know you are learned in the word of God, and if you know His word, you know His will." I mean, he's saying this, and then you look at his eyes, and you're like, these are the eyes of a madman. These are someone who's desperate, who is looking for meaning anywhere. And when he finally gets what he wants, it's like this insanity. It's like just carries through, permeates the page as well. It's really this skill at getting into his characters' heads and depicting their emotions on the page that really sets Eisner apart from a lot of just about every other major artist like working today. I mean, a lot of them are good. I mean, they're good at showing detail, dynamic action sequences and all. But as far as just like really showing you what's inside a character's heart just by looking in their eyes, they kind of lack that right there. And Eisner has this in spades throughout his work. I mean, you can see this in the second story, The Street Singer, about a guy who sings in alleyways during the Depression and winds up getting his big break from a faded opera singer, only to realize that it's not going to happen due to an O. Henry-esque twist. Then there's the Super, which tells you about the a real asshole super who runs one of the tenements, and how he crosses paths with the 10-year-old girl, and how she went and just make his life a living hell. I mean, to be honest, I was kind of surprised at some of the maturity of the subject matter here, considering when it was published and comics were still regarded as kids' stories. The fact that Eisner was able to get away with a lot of the mature subject matter he does right here, it's quite impressive. But it also doesn't come off as exploitative or needless, in terms of like shock value as well. Like the Super, like I said, is a nice dark story showing you about one man, how he lives his life as a bastard and then pays the price later on. And also, but it's also a story where I would have loved to have known what happens to the girl. It's like after the story. Then you got Kuckelin, which is Yiddish word means cook alone. It's basically you're going up to going to a room, up to a hotel where you cook the meals yourself. Eisner says this is one of the characters here. Willie is is a direct autobiographical analog for him. So you can look at this and say, wow, it's like, Will, you really lost your virginity there. Really weird and creepy manner right there. But it's also an interesting slice of life, just showing him and several other characters going up north during the summer to the Catskills, and just looking to get away from things, and also to like trying to find like, hey, I'm gonna find myself a husband. I'm gonna find myself a wife. So just like people like trying to make their big breaks and just like and just trying to make connections as well, and also husbands playing around on their wives while they're taking the kids kids up north. It's a nice character driven story, and it's fun observing all the different little character interactions and plot threads that he develops. I mean, like it's also probably the most sequential of his stories, because as opposed to the first three stories, this is the one that really does have like actual defined panels and progression between them. It's still, like I said, it's still cool to read a story, and like it's an interesting window into this particular area and these characters' lives, and it's this particular story that the next volume in the trilogy, A Life Force, resembles. Now, Life Force is far more sprawling and detailed than A Contract with God. So it focuses on several characters. There's Jacob, the carpenter, who winds up out of work and comparing his life to a cockroach, finding out what does it take to, like, hey, it's like how's my life any different from the cockroach if we're both trying to survive. Then you also had Elton, the former high society guy who has his life whose life has changed through the through the Great Depression and the stock market crash. Then he winds up working as a runner, and also like falling in love with Jacob's daughter. It's like they both live in the same tenement. I mean, it's the story. It's basically a real ensemble cast story, just showing all these different characters like living and thriving and struggling to survive during these like hard times. And it's like and it's also within this story is really that it's like some of these things are familiar. It's like like the regular guy being bullied by the mob, it's like the guy it's like the insane guy living, it's like trying to survive from day to day. It's like the guy, people trying to organize against unions. It's like a lot of the stuff here does have a resonance from today as well. I mean, it's like it's still, I would argue this is probably like the most interesting of the works, just in the way it's like all the characters here feel genuine and real and believable. It's like in the way they go about their lives and try. It's like in the story, and Eisner's art is still no slouch, even though it's like even though this volume is like he's even more there's even more characters and detail and panels on a page. It's like Eisner still invests like each of them with the same kind of care that he did in his earlier work. It's a great story. It's like, and to be honest, he probably could have kept going as like from when he stopped. So it's one of the, it's a great character driven tale. It's like, and it shows you that even though this guy was pushing, let's see, what was he? He was like 65 when he wrote this. It's like the man still had not lost a step, and that's really impressive in itself. However, like Eisner was not done with the series, because all these stories I forgot to mention earlier take place on this one fictional part of New York called Dropsy Avenue. Now, so Eisner, so in 1995, Eisner realized that he just couldn't. He just had more to say about that particular avenue, and so he wrote the neighborhood Dropsy Avenue, and this is his story, just telling you about the history of that particular tenement and part of New York, from back starting in 1870 to the present day, such as it was. And it's very impressive. It's a marvel of storytelling. It is a small marvel of storytelling flow and progression because he just because Eisner basically maps the maps the progression of the neighborhood from just rural undeveloped area to nice high class neighborhood, and then charts its slow decline from World War I onwards. And it's interesting just to see how it's not really one thing that contributes to its decline. It's just it's a lot of little things, and even though a lot of the characters do kind of resort to caricature or one-dimensional characters, they do still feel kind of genuine. And plus, when you're dealing in the essay style that he's doing here, I mean, he covers over 100 years in about in about 170 pages, but it still feels completely natural in the way that he manages the progression of time. I mean, just seeing the characters age, the neighborhood change before your eyes. It's really a remarkable achievement. I mean, yes, it's like I said, this is all the stories here are very character driven. It's they deal with social issues in terms of deals head on with racism as people, as people in Dropsy Avenue constantly lament the advent of new races, in races and ethnicities into the neighborhood, and they're just saying, oh no, the Irish are coming here now, they're going to ruin the property values. Oh no, they're going to integrate and allow the Negroes in. So that's going to ruin things even more. But it's it's not that. It's just it's really just a mixture of people's attitudes and just general. I wouldn't say lack of caring, but just what am I trying to say here? It's it's just the march of time that grinds everything down, and if people just don't want to do anything, they're not going to make an effort to change things. They're just going to try to keep the status quo the way things are. Then of course things are going to get worse. If people are going to resist the tides of change instead of rolling with them. In fact, we even get a hint of that at the very end when the Avenue gets a new lease on life. But then we see the old familiar attitudes show up, and here they are again. It's this. I mean, this is a really engrossing character. The entire volume is a really engrossing character study on the same level as Box Office Poison, which I've said before is one of my favorite all-time titles. And even though it's I don't know if people here listening to me talk are just kind of scared of stuff when I say it's character driven. Filled with drama and people and with real life concerns, but really this is the kind of story that is captivating. Even with all with all that, it doesn't need explosions, doesn't need superheroes or healing factors or mutant abilities in order to be engrossing. Eisner makes the character drama feel genuine, and his art and his detailed style, the way he gets inside the characters' heads through their expressions, makes it thoroughly worthwhile. Now, it may sound like medicine when I say it like that, but really, it's not. Once you start reading it, you will be engrossed to try and see the progression of Dropsy Avenue from beginning to end. Overall, I don't know what to say. I mean, Will Eisner has done a lot of work over the years. But and I'll be honest, I haven't really read nearly as much as I should have. But considering A Contract with God's word of mouth status as one of the formative graphic novels, the original ones, this. I was thoroughly entertained by this trilogy right here, and I don't want to say it's the one thing you should pick up from Will Eisner. It's if you only read one thing. I will say that based on what I said, this absolutely deserves a place in your library.
So if you pick this up, you won't be disappointed, is what you're trying to say. Give it a chance.
That is exactly what I'm saying. I mean, to be perfectly honest, this is one of the cases where even though I found it in a half-off bin at WonderCon. This is one of the things, like, if I had the chance to rebuy it at full price, I certainly would.
Okay, very cool, very cool. Yeah, it's always good to get a good character-driven story in there once in a while. Come on, I mean, yes, we love bullets, guns, and and other such violent things, but every now and then, hey, if you can get a good character story in, it's always worth it.
That is so true, especially, like I said, I mean, sometimes this stuff can sound like medicine, but then once you actually, like, get past that, once you actually get past that feeling, it's like, you find out that it's really not. It's really something that, hey, this is what I've been needing all along.
Okay, sounds like I might be checking it out myself. So, do you know what you're going to be talking about next time?
Let's see. Next time, we are going to be. Next time, I believe we're going to be at May. Next probably has to be on May 1st. So all I can tell you is just check and see what's arriving on May 3rd, and you should have a pretty good idea of what I'll be talking about next time.
All right, well, there's your clue, and we'll talk to you next time on Comic Picks by the Glick.
Laters.
All right, bye.